Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Graphite ASMR. You got your host, Graphite, I guess. So, continuing on with another piece that I've been working on, something that I really do enjoy. Right now, I'm trying to sort of get an idea of what I'm going to populate what kind of plants I want to have in my drawing. And I thought, you know what? I really like the look of lavender, and I never really sketched lavender before, so let's go ahead and try it. So, right now I never knew this, but apparently there is a lavender tree. I never knew this. And I'm like, no, when I heard it, it's like, no, there's no lavender tree, there's just a lavender bush. Here I was definitely proven wrong. Man, I was looking and I'm like, wow, lavender trees are beautiful. Have you ever seen a lavender field of just nothing but lavender and then have it like a lavender tree at oh man, it's a really gorgeous sight. So, but we're back with continuing on with the sketch that I was doing before. This was done a couple days ago. I did not have an upload on Friday, unfortunately, and that's mostly just because I was just really, really busy. Had a lot of other things kind of going on, and I just couldn't find the time to record audio for it. Plus, also, on Fridays, it's, especially with work picking up as a contractor, it's really physically strenuous, and then working out 5 days a week on top of that, and then running sort of like behind the scenes stuff. So it's tough. It's not really tough, actually. I really do enjoy it. I enjoy feeling like I'm contributing towards the world around me more so than just taking away from it. Being a producer, not a consumer, putting more energy out towards the world than requiring energy towards me. So it's really entertaining, especially since I get to, because I'm at a state of, I really enjoy being calm-minded. It sounds a little weird just to go and throw it out like that, but it's where you're not really thinking about too much, and you're just, you get to watch and learn how the world sort of interacts and operates kind of without your influence. So it's really interesting to see how, especially when you start putting effort into your life, how much that's infectious. People then start wanting to put more effort into their life, and it's just a chain event, really. It's really, really neat to watch. But we're coming back. We're on a nice Monday. I was sitting outside having a cigar, and it was day raining. It was raining while there was giant puffy clouds, almost ethereal looking. It was great. And rain just, it wasn't enough to get me to go under for shelter, but it was enough to have a few drops off all my head. So it was quite entertaining to sit out there and just smoke on a stogie and or toke on a stogie. Ended up smoking something called Comfortably Numb, or I think there's a longer name for it, but it's big old Comfortably Numb. Great cigar. Had to toss unfortunately about 2 inches off of it just because it started messing with my stomach, but oh well. That's mostly just because I haven't eaten enough to be able to, so for those that don't smoke cigars really consumes the sugars out of your blood, and with the amount of nicotine, I think there's, so I think on so cigars are rated from mild up to a full body, or at least that's how I know it. And with a light cigar, so a light cigar with a nice light wrapper, they normally have a nicotine content of, I want to say about 250 to almost 300, And then when you get up to the full body cigars, meaning it has a lot of nicotine content, very full body in the flavor, so very peppery, very concentrated. Those ones, I think, run up to about 700 milligrams of nicotine per stick. So it's a really normal. So in comparison, a normal cigarette, it only contains about, I think, 50 milligrams of, or five, no, actually, I think it was like 5 milligrams of nicotine per stick. What gets the sensation of like what they put into cigarettes in order to heighten that sort of qualities of nicotine, that's where all the nasty tar stuff comes into play, and different chemicals. Oops, my apologies. The different chemicals that they add to the cigarette, but with cigars, it's all natural. I think the only thing that they do is actually add pneumonia to the outside wrapper as they're wrapping it, so that when it dries in perfect, like that perfect shell. At least I think so. No cigar expert. I just enjoy them on my offs, on the side whenever I'm in the mood for one. But yeah, everything's going really well. Let's see. I was throwing more out. I have up to, I think, 4 more hours of recording. Unfortunately, 1 hour is just me tapping on the picture, and it's not like a whole lot of interesting stuff. But it does kind of work towards being just background video content. So let's see. It seems like the sort of what I would call the guild hall is turning out well. I had a 52-inch screen TV, and I took over to my friend's house, which last Saturday we went, played Smash, played a few rounds of Smash, was it Super Mario Bros. Smash or something like that, whatever. I enjoy Ganondorf. He's my personal favorite, but the other ones I really like playing are, or other characters I like playing are Duck Hunt, Isabelle, Pac-Man, Baby Bowser, and then I think there was one, I tried playing Olimar. Oh man, I could not figure it out. Though I am scary with Duck Hunt. Isabelle's also one of my personal favorites. Oh, it's so easy. So easy. So, in any case, just pulling out this straight triangle only to be able to get like a... I think I actually tossed it aside because it wasn't working. Because I was like, no, why in the world am I trying to use this triangle if I can just do it with my eyes? I just waved my hands. Whatever. Just use my eyes to see how straight it is. I think that's something we should probably do more, is trying to use our minds more. I'm trying to use less and less of the GPS. I feel like I just feel like I need to become more independent from technology and start using my mind more. One of the issues I noticed with our current generation, or the generation growing up with cell phones and whatnot, is that all the information is there, tons and tons and tons of information, and we take selfies with it. That's about it. And now, granted, I actually use it for part of my business. It allows me to make invoices on my phone's Word document, because I don't have Word on my computer. So, and for some reason, the internet version of Word is just not working, which is unfortunate. But oh well. So, have to start using Word on my phone in order to invoice people, which is interesting. It works pretty well. Got the today. I ended up going out for. So there's a job I got that there was these arms. So this is for an outdoor patio for a restaurant that got shut down due to COVID. And the arms holding the string of lights up, got pulled out of the brick. So there was holes drilled for these. There's 3 arms holding this net of lights up. And on the one, it actually pulled the bricks out with it. Didn't damage the bricks. Thank God. I can put them back. No problem. The other one is it pulled 2 of the arms. So one arm has 2 bricks attached to it. The middle one just pulled the whole arm out, but I had to take and bend the metal back into place so it sits flat-ish against the brick as I put them back up. It was neat because I went to the store and I found literally the exact same hangers that the previous person put up, and I mean, like, they worked up until like, I don't know, a really bad storm, so I'll just use them again. Maybe I could put some mortar or construction adhesive into the hole, put the plug in, or put the wall mounts into it, and then it should actually hold the wall mount in the brick a lot better. I might do that. It actually sounds like a good idea. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to put the brick back up because I forgot my ladders. Which is fine. It's not like this job doesn't have a time limit, so it's not like it has to be done by a certain point in time, but it just kind of bothered me that I forgot my ladders. Oh well. It's kind of fine because I think I would have brought the normal 6-foot ladder to do it, but I think I'm going to need the extension ladder in order to get up high enough for where this is. This is like at least 10 feet off that 10-foot high wall. So, and yeah, I'm going to definitely need so what an extension ladder is, it's like 2 ladders held together by brackets, and they slide along. The one slides along the other one, but has a rope attached to it with a pulley that pulls the other ladder upwards, and it has almost like a crank arm or 2 crank arms on the side that catch the steps as it comes up. So all you have to do is pull the rope down, other ladder goes up, put it up against the wall, and make sure that the clamps latch onto the step, and I got 2 of them. One goes up to, I think, 40 feet? The other one's like 30, so they go up pretty high. Though I don't go up that high, mostly because I'm a guy that likes safety, and I know too many people that fall off of extension ladders and then break their arm because they decided to do a job by themselves and had no one else to stabilize the ladder. So it's unfortunate, but it does happen. But so continuing with off topic, but something also interesting is started watching Yu Yu Hakusho, and I'm really happy that my ASMR friend, he's enjoying it. At least he was enjoying it. It's a good show. It's a really good show. Has a lot of like interesting characters, like truly interesting characters. Mostly because with the main character, I don't remember what his name is. Most characters, it seems like a lot of their trials are predictable, or it's becoming more and more predictable. But with Yusuke, his trials are very, very unique, and especially right off the bat, like as soon as the show starts, boom, there you go. It's got everything going on. It's great. Plus, also, my ASMR friend was pointing out is that the color palette that they chose is very interesting, like almost traditional, sort of Chinese or traditional. You know how whenever you go into a Chinese restaurant, you see their calendars and all the stuff that they kind of decorate. It has like a lot of like soft blues, pinks almost, some red, but not too, like everything is really soft, and I always thought it was wild and really interesting. So this is where I'm trying to figure out. So the building off to the right of the main plaza statue is going to end up being called the Pale Dragon, and then the one off to the right is something going to involve the sun. It's going to involve Icarus. Icarus. It's going to involve sort of. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with that building past the entrance of it. When I was working on it, I was desperately trying to get a look of like Icarus flying too close to the sun and burnt, like the wings burnt off and he's falling on the other side, but I just couldn't get it quite right. Yeah, start with the basics. Try to get the form, the idea. Get the idea that you want, but if it's not right, erase it, work somewhere else, and then come back on it. There's no problem with that. Should always be okay with the idea of coming back to some spots if it's just not working out quite right. For example, with the lavender that I was talking about, it's like, well, I started getting bored of doing the little petals, so I'll start working on this other area. Soon, eventually, in one of these episodes, I'll be working on the side of that building that's in the forefront of the picture, and it ends. I like it. I like the way this sketch is turning out, especially when I decide to start going into even finer details. So eventually, I really, really would like to be able to put people into like walking around to show a pseudo sense of scale to this whole place. I have a little stick figure next to the fountain to represent how big these places are, and they're gigantic. It's great. I love the idea. Let's see. Oh, there's my rabbit. Just to prove that I have a rabbit. Oh, I love my bunny. His name is Gimli. He's so cute. Sorry, I very much enjoy my little bunny. Mostly because a lot of people, they're not actually aware of how difficult it is to maintain healthy living standards for a rabbit. You have to have, because it's so funny, because people, I love when people, they like to say, oh, X species is more intelligent. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, it seems like almost any animal that has human interaction just is more intelligent. Any one of them. Like, for instance, rabbits that, they actually need a brain stimulant. So, almost like a child. You need to give them toys to be able to figure out spatial awareness and different little things to engage their brain, even to the point of actually putting up a mirror so that they can look at themselves. It also somewhat tricks them into thinking that there's another rabbit there, but I don't think so. At least the way that Gimli behaves while staring into the mirror, it looks like he's mostly just looking at himself. So, let's see. It was fun sitting out there. There was little spiders crawling along the edge of the table. It was so funny. There was one little spider. They like when they think that they're seen, they'll spread their legs out as far as they go, and sit as close to the object that they're attached to kind of camouflage themselves. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, I see you. What are you doing? Just go. I ain't gonna kill you. But yeah, it seems like a lot of the young insects are starting to hatch. Had to end up saving a little gnat out of my coffee. I bet you he was wired, swimming in a sea of energy. No. But yeah, so let's see. So let's come back to the idea of what the sort of just self-help stuff, because one of the things that I think is important is for season one, I'm trying to outline what the idea of what a person with control of themselves is like. So, for instance, someone that, when presented any scenario, has their emotions in check. As far as has their emotions in check, a person that has their emotions in check then has the ability to keep their actions in check. When you keep your actions in check, then you start figuring out where are you wasting energy in. A lot of times a lot of things that we do enjoy are unfortunately kind of wastes of time, or not time, energy. For instance, scrolling endlessly through Twitter. It's a waste of energy. There are too many opinions for one person to read throughout the day. Now, unless you're using it for informational purposes, good luck. No, I'm joking. But we have to realize that sometimes putting energy into things is truly not worth it. For instance, if you're playing like how I was playing like video games for like 8 hours a day, whenever you could, wake up, if it's day off, you're playing video games, and then till a point where you eat, then you just go back to playing video games, or you take care of house chores or whatever. But what I'm talking about is just figuring out, am I getting anywhere with putting energy in? Is there any meaning in this? That was what I was really having a trouble with when it came to playing Borderlands 3, because it just, I need more of a meaning into playing things. For instance, Dark Souls. Dark Souls is a great way to resist the urge to get heated and to want to act out on the world around you. For instance, too many controllers have been sacrificed to the name of Dark Souls. Including one of mine. I'm not gonna lie, I threw one against the wall. Hey, gotta be able to admit where you messed up and to be able to be okay with it. Because and the issue is when it's not like you feel good after doing it. It's not like you know you're not justified in it. It was stupid. It was short-minded, short-tempered. It really highlights where your faults are in that game, and in a personal level too, which is why I like this so much. Because it's at least in the first game, it required a lot of like memorization of the positions. It forced and engaged your mind in ways that other games I never got that before. Because yeah, for me, video games was just something to have fun and waste time into, like Kingdom Hearts. When I was a child, Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, they were the game I was playing. Never played any of the Final Fantasy games. Tried playing 7, couldn't get through it. Just because it's when I was younger, turn-based games is tough to sort of. I liked real-time action, but it was too much of a strategy building idea, I guess. I'm not sure. I just never got into them. The one game I remember when I was a kid is Hulk Ultimate Destruction. That was one of my favorite games. Oh my god. Just run around destroying the city, fighting big robots, big monsters. It was one of the more entertaining superhero games I've ever played. It was just because it was like just really cool, really fun to play. Then it was Ghost Recon, and then Kingdom Hearts, and then that's when Demon Souls came. I came across the PlayStation 3, got Demon Souls, and then boom, it was hooked from there on from software. I cannot wait for Elden Ring, but coming back to the idea of control, we are already programmed with the idea of what is okay and not okay. Now, the sense of that is stronger in some, and I believe it might be weaker in some. For me, because when I was younger, doing anything that would result in me getting in trouble, it felt like I couldn't do it. It was not that I was afraid to do it. It's just it felt like my body was burning while doing it. It was weird. And then I'd get like incredibly stressed out. Literally, anxiety mixed with sheer stress and just adrenaline, like everything, like cocktail of just no. It wasn't even until middle school when I started learning what swear words were. God, I was like, what, 8? Maybe a little older than that. Never knew what a swear word was. Started using them, was like, ooh, this is funny. So I would say, start using the F word like every other word, and it was amongst a group of people that also were like, oh yeah, and started cursing because it was a big no thing to do, so it was funny to rebel against authority. So, even if it was in a small, like, sort of innocent way. But now, especially doing the ASMR YouTube stuff, swearing is not really looked. I know recently they just apparently took restrictions off your ability to say what you want a little, even if it's a little bit. So now we can swear just a little bit, I guess. It's ridiculous. So ridiculous. But it's the idea that I personally am trying to actually not swear nearly as much, mostly because the fact that you use it as a filler word for almost anything, and just with how my mind's been, I just want to learn more. So what a part of that basically requires is expanding your vocabulary and not using the F word every other word. Though I'm not like criticizing people that do it, I still do it sometimes, but sailor mouth, sheer sailor mouth. But I'm also like Irish, Scottish, Russian, not German, Irish, Russian, Scottish, and Australian. So it's like everything is F you, F you, F you. Very high-spirited people in my family. Let's see. But I find the necessity to be able to speak and be convincing while speaking too is becoming more and more important for me. Not because of the fact that I'm just doing this ASMR stuff, but I know that when someone speaks and speaks with meaning, speaks with purpose, it is something much, much stronger than a person just speaking with reckless abandonment. More compelling, there's more confidence because every word you say has been selected specifically for the purpose of conveying a thought. And when you get onto the point where you're trying to convey more complex ideas, it requires more of a vocabulary in order to elaborate on an idea, in order for someone else to build a a construct for them in order to understand what's being relayed to them, right? So you have to be able to communicate effectively. Construct a framework in order for you to in order to understand you. Communication is absolutely key, and the ability to speak open and freely is even more important. The ability to use whatever words to be able to express the idea is absolutely key. Because, for instance, if you're trying to convey a thought, but you're banned from using specific words for nothing more than because some people don't like them, well, if that's not... There are times where you need to be able to speak openly with people. Because if you can't speak openly, that means that there's a restriction on the ability to convey ideas. You should be able to use any idea in order to gain a fuller understanding of the world around you. I think it's important for us to be able to, and plus on top of that, the more ideas, the more ways we understand the world to operate, allows us to then understand the natures of ourselves when we are able to use all the thought that we have, or all the information that we have in order to understand ourselves. Once we understand ourselves, we then begin to try to understand the world around us. And then at that point, it requires you the ability to convey your understanding to other people so that they can take the information in and convey their own thoughts. And it's the equivalence of helping each other climb a ladder that's really, really high. Maybe that analogy was terrible. But we need to be able to talk openly about things in a comfortable manner without the feeling of someone's watching us. You can't speak openly when it feels like there's eyes on the back of your head, just waiting to stop you whenever you get close to a certain idea. And I find that actually very, very disgusting, because that means that that's someone else controlling you. I am very much so of the idea that control over yourself is probably the most important key aspect for a person to understand. I think that's something our kids should have been taught right away. As soon as they were born, up to the ability to have a conversation with a child, even if it's on a simple level, you should be able to convey the information that you are in charge of your own sovereignty, meaning that your will is your will. So your actions are your actions, your words are your words. And this is why I didn't gassy. I don't like it when people tell other people, "Oh no, you can't do that." Why? Why? And normally if someone can't give you an accurate information or give you a reason why you can't do it, give you an accurate assessment as to why, if you can't describe easily why, then no, I'll figure out why. I'll figure out why it's not that good. Like, for instance, it's going to sound silly, but there's a big old no-no when it comes to scrying or future telling or whatever. Like, trying to... Basically, any method that you would utilize in order to try to look into the future, that's normally a big old no-no, because normally what it does is it sort of creates a block, mostly because the future needs to be fluid. It cannot be rigid and hard. It has to flow through us in the present like water. And when you have something that you're invested in, sort of like if you look into the future, you gain the idea that something specific is going to happen, then you start thinking that that's how it's that's what it's going to be. That is empirical evidence that is what my future is going to have. Problem being is that the future is never set in stone perfectly. There's actually, I think, a study, I won't go into that. I just know that when it comes to more of a, I forget what is it, Buddhist or Taoist, where you want to have your life, you want to live your life flowing with the water, not working actively against it. But looking into the future is the equivalence of putting a rock in the river in the future that you have to go around then. Because it's the possibility that was your future could have happened without you knowing. There's no reason to do it. It's better to be living in the present. Be always presently aware with your relationships, aware with the state of like your house. Because a lot of people, they like that, for me included, procrastination. You like to push things off. Oh, I don't have to do it right now. I can wait till whenever. Normally it is actually better just to do it when you think of it. Act on your thoughts. Especially if it just makes the world around you just a little bit more pleasant. Especially if it makes the world a little pleasant. You never want to end up burdening someone else. That's one of the things that I particularly learned over the course of my life so far. The reason being is because no one likes to, it's better to be known for being a happy person than being an angry person, right? Some people like the idea of being that loose cannon cop sort of idea, where it's like, well, the world will have to work around my rules, and it's like, well, unfortunately, that's not how it works, buddy. Yeah, there's a specific, for instance, you can't use your willpower. Well, I mean, you can, it's a choice, but you can't use your willpower to force another person to use their willpower in a specific direction. Or you can't force someone else's willpower or will. You can, but then that ends up causing resentment into you. That creates a lot of negative, so what I would refer to as like loose energy, bad karma. You're not working within the bounds of natural law. Natural law being that nothing can actively force you to make choices. You have to be willing to conduct yourself in specific manners. So, for instance, like I think Jesus would say it is, through me is the truth and the light, because he understood what it means for people to learn, and to learn what it means to be one with the world around you. Because we're just a small speck on the greater, grander picture, but our inner workings inherently influences the greater picture, and the greater picture will influence us as well. And it's really interesting when you start getting into like the law of one, you start getting into the communications with Ra, depending on how far you feel like looking into certain things. It kind of starts painting a more complete picture. I always think it's good to learn from anything you can, but never be dedicated to something. Never create an idea, or I think what the best way to describe it is, do not design the ego around something. Allow the ego to just exist as you. So what I mean is, the ego, you cannot escape the ego, because our physical bodies are literally a tapestry of what our entire life was. And that means something in the long run. And it's interesting. It's interesting, really, when you really start trying to dive deep into more complex ideas of how a person is, right? How they exist. What exactly is how? At what level are we influencing the world around us? I mean, actually influence it. Like, is the decisions that we make, how much does that affect everything? Sort of like the butterfly effect, but on a more interesting and more personal scale. And it's in this where we really start seeing, are we helping the world around us? Are we trying to serve other people? Or are we just merely trying to serve our own dark and twisted desires? Trying to satisfy the void that develops in us when we're not living up to our own expectations. And it's funny, because it seems as if the world that we live in create expectations, create the ideal version of yourself versus you creating the ideal version of yourself. And that's why I think it's really important. I cannot stress it more and more and more, that it's important and imperative that people understand themselves and gain a control and mastery of themselves. Because if you're not in control of yourself, then who is? It's that simple. And it's not that. It's funny because I came from a really bad place. Went to Otakon, ended up at a panel for nihilism. I was just curious at how other people saw the world. Really wanted to explore what the idea of meaninglessness. Seeing what I wanted to see how far people's ideas would go, right? Like, how far does this concept of nihilism, how far does it go? What does it mean to be nihilistic? It's a lot of interesting thought avenues that you can run down. And the only way you can really, truly start engaging in these more darker aspects of our thought process when you have a lot of control over who you are. Because there's a lot of times where if you don't have a control over yourself, something else can crawl, an idea, a false thought, a thought that's not from you. Because it may sound like you, it may be in your head, but there's a strong possibility that idea, that thought, that bad idea that eventually leads to bad decisions, strong possibility that was not you. And then, but at the same time, you ended up following that avenue of choices, which then end up becoming your choice. But unfortunately, and this is the sort of short of it, is when it comes to conducting yourself, you have to have control over it. You have to have control over yourself and your own actions, your own emotions. You are the only one that should be in control of that, nothing else. But the good news is that as you begin to develop a more confident idea in yourself, eventually, as I love the saying, is you are the sculptor sculpting yourself out of marble. And it's how the careful the chisel, the better the sculpture. There we go. So there's the topper to the building with the sun, the Icarus building. I think I might just call it the Icarus building, but yeah. I'm really liking how this piece is turning out. It's I think I might do another angle of the city, but from a different location. I think that would be very interesting. Yeah, so let's see. But it's important for us to also not just know what it means to control ourselves, but also to recognize when we lose control. The quicker you realize when you're losing control, the quicker you are capable of reining yourself back, bringing that idea back, and then being like, okay, is this me? Is this something that I want to bring into the world? How do I want to use my will? And because we can basically bring into existence anything. We build giant buildings. We have weapons that can level entire cities. Like, human beings are absolutely phenomenal creatures, and I don't like the idea of death. I'm just using an example. Well, it's not that I don't like the idea of death. It's that I don't like the idea of just mass killing for, well, mass killing for any reason, honestly. It sucks. Or at least when humans do it to each other. It's not something fun to have to watch. It actually, it's saddening. And it's not fun. But you gotta have hope. Gotta have hope that we'll eventually get it through our thick skulls that killing each other is not how we solve the problems. Getting violent with each other is just merely creating a shortcut to getting what we want. Problem being is time will take those shortcuts back. Yeah, if you're going to do it right, you might as well do it right the first time. And you gotta do it right according to natural law, or whatever you decide to create. It's going to fall apart. It's just going to fall apart. So, in order to understand how natural law works, you gotta have control of yourself to be able to even just witness or see how it influences you, and then once you understand how to properly influence yourself, then you can influence the world around you. So, like exercising to show your body the complex creature that we inhabit. Gotta work out to show our body the love that it deserves. We should learn everything, every day, constantly trying to develop and become better. Learn different, even if it's like just, for instance, the one day, the vagus nerve, VAGUS nerve, we were on some sort of random conversation about, I forget what it was. In any case, apparently there was some sort of chemical that really heavily influences the vagus nerve, or like helps build it up, or makes well, in any case, I was like, well, what's the vagus nerve? And here I found out that it is a nerve that's connected to the undula oblongata, or whatever the hell that thing's called. I cursed. My bad. The undula oblongata, or something like that. And it's a nerve attached there that transmits the electrical, it's attached to there and runs down your esophagus, connecting your esophagus with every organ down to your colon, or something like that. And what it does is it actually keeps it sends information from your mind to your organs to check to see if they're okay. It has it's a status. It's like a It sends nutrients to the different organs, and also sends checks to see if the organs are okay and functioning correctly. So it was really interesting. The vagus nerve is very, very important to making sure that your organs are okay, that everything is running fine, and getting nutrients there. It's just really interesting, especially just learning something new about your body. It's always interesting. But let's see. But yeah, so let's see. The health issue that I was dealing with for the past year is starting to subside, almost completely gone, which is, I am so thankful, because that means that eventually I'll be able to start doing live streams of, I want to play horror games. I really want to play horror games, because I think it would be hilarious, especially getting other people to watch too. and I know I've been saying it, but I had to wait till, because one of the issues is like a lot of mucus was coming up my throat, so, and also having to cough. Uh, it wasn't pleasant, and it was impossible. There's no way I could have done live streams. It would have been disgusting for people to have to watch, especially since I already grossed out my ASMR friend. Uh, but so I'm feeling a lot better. I'm really happy about that. Still, it's not completely over. Not out of the woods yet, but from what I can tell, I can see the edge of the woods coming. Which actually is kind of weird because I have this weird thought in my head, sort of the day that I can breathe easy, I can breathe easy. Which, don't know why I have that in my head. Don't know where it came from, but, oh well. Realistically, it's really enjoying myself. Work is starting to pick back up, which is very, very pleasant. Starting to bring in some sort of amount of money. Good news, I don't have any kids, don't have a wife, don't even have a girlfriend yet. Working on it. Body comes first. Gotta make sure that I'm in health. I have healthy habits that I can pass down to my children. So, I think it's imperative that if someone is planning on having kids, that they are correct, that they are happy with themselves. Mostly because it's hard having, if a parent has a child, then if the parent's unhappy with themselves, the child can easily pick up on stuff like that. Children are very, very aware of their surroundings. Granted, when they're going from born to about 8, their alpha waves of their brain are like at maximum. So anything that goes on around the child, they pick up, they learn, becomes part of their basic operation, the basic operating parameters of their mind. So it's in that time frame. Instilling good habits into your children is imperative. It is the maximum importance. Nothing else matters quite as much as making sure our next generation gets off on the best foot possible. And that starts with themselves. Understanding that there's certain ways that acting in public is just like if kids screaming and whatnot, no. That is not okay. You don't do that. That's not, now at the same time, one of the things I also don't like is when parents are too strict on their children, almost trying to live through them vicariously. I find that eliminates and starts eroding away the idea of individuality within a child. They should begin to operate on their own intentions, not be forced and crammed into a theoretical black box designed by a school system, designed by your parents. No. It's best to have a healthy understanding of yourself before trying to, and obviously you want to make sure that they learn certain things here and there, but truly learning about oneself and how to become a better, stronger person is always key. But it starts with control, simple control over oneself. So eventually I will be starting a gaming channel. We're coming up to about 3 minutes left, which is nice because I'm actually running out of things to say, but oh well, I can easily ramble on for another 10 more minutes maybe. Especially, I think the next thing I'm going to start looking into is, God, I think I need to start working on my card game. I have a card game that I'm working on because I'm tired of. There's nothing new. There's no one coming out with new things. Like, it's always like a constant repeat of the same IPs, always, all the time. Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's boring, it's stale. Though the funny thing is the Pokemon deck that I'm playing right now is the Mad Party ones. And, it is disgusting. Right up my alley. Absolutely love decks like that operate like that. If you're not into Pokemon, you won't understand. But, oh well. I'm a nerd, always will be. I enjoy my tabletop card games. What is TCG? Trading card games. I enjoy my trading card games. But it's not so. It's a shame because it's not so much trading cards anymore. It's more like, well, only YouTubers get the boxes, open them, and then sell them on the market. And then it's gotten to a point where anyone can become a good Pokemon or a Yu-Gi-Oh player or a Magic player just because you can just copy a deck list from the internet and just there you go. You now have like the best deck. Granted, it takes time and practice in order to learn and be proficient with it, but it's like, where's the challenge? Like, half the challenge, half the initial fun of the game is taken out of there now. You don't grow by just merely looking at what someone else does and then just copying it for verbatim. There should be some time in order to figure out what would be the best way to do certain things, but I guess we're just, with the invention of the internet, more people using the internet, information travels quicker. The idea being able to create the best of something becomes quicker and easier and faster, so I guess it only makes sense. It's only natural, I guess, for us to become quicker at things. But in any case, we're coming up on the last minute of the ASMR stuff. I hope you enjoyed yourself. If you really do like the content that I'm putting out, give me a like, comment, subscribe, all the stuff that every other YouTuber has to tell you, because YouTube they gotta stick up their butt. But you can't go anywhere unless you start following our rules. That sort of stuff. Oh well. In any case, getting up on the last 20 seconds, the only thing I can say, and I think it's just merely, everyone have a good week, have a good Monday, and Godspeed.